Today I want to talk to you guys about expanding your team and hiring people. I've had a lot of questions and emails about this over the years, and so I figured this is kind of a good time to do it. In the winter, when we're thinking of expanding our businesses and what the next season might hold, is probably a good time to start thinking about the help you might need on your farm this year if you think you're going to need some help. So basically what I want to do is I want to go through a sort of hierarchy of tasks that I think I'll start from what's a good place to start, the sort of the first things you'd want to get people to help you with on your farm, and then things that are more complicated that would require more training. So the first thing that I get people to do if I'm hiring some either part-time help or first training somebody that's totally new to the operation, I mean, it depends on their experience, but let's just say they're totally green and they're totally new and they don't really have any experience. The first thing and easiest thing to get somebody to do on your operation is get them to pack. So just packing greens, maybe, you know, it depends on the type of vegetables you're doing, but just doing pack house work or stuff in the post-harvest. You're packing bags, making bunches, stuff like that. Really easy stuff. That's a great place to start with somebody because you can work alongside them and you can watch what they're doing and make sure they're doing it right and teach them the right stuff. The second thing I would do, so I'm kind of, basically the start would be you get them just doing anything in the post-harvest area. So, you know, packing would be the first. Next thing would be sorting. So when you've got your greens on the drying screen, sorting out the bad greens. When you've got carrots and you're bagging carrots, sorting out the funky shaped carrots or anything that's broken or stuff like that. So basically just sorting tasks. The next thing I'd get them to do, which would be, you know, I'm going to be making these tasks more complicated as they go. Next thing would be washing, so you can teach them how to use the washing table, spraying down root vegetables, washing greens, anything like that. So that basically covers all the post-harvest stuff. And if you were to just have a part-time help where you've got a person coming in on Tuesdays and Fridays, or maybe just Fridays, however your week is balanced, you could totally have a person come in and just do those three tasks, and that's easy to do because then you can train them really quickly and it's not going to take them that long to get good at it, and they can be relatively effective for you. So I often tell people, if you're a small farm like mine and you don't need a lot of extra labor, you can have one full-time person like I do, and then a part-time person or two that just come at even certain times of the season and just do work like that. It's really easy. It's low risk, you know, nobody's going to get hurt. They can get good at it relatively quickly. So from there, the next thing I would get a person to do is bring them on the field. And, you know, tasks like harvesting radishes, that's a really easy one. I would probably save harvesting greens with the quick cut greens harvester till later, until I felt more confident with them. So even hand cutting greens with a steak knife or a hand knife, I'd save that for a little later. But those are certainly tasks that you could do and train somebody to do relatively easy. And then other field tasks like moving around tunnels, setting up low tunnels, moving around caterpillar tunnels, stuff like that. You know, basic labor going forward, things would be, you know, some of the basic stuff I'd get somebody to do for field work, besides harvesting, would be bed prep stuff. So broad forking beds, pitchfork beds, stuff like that, spreading compost. And it's tasks like planting, direct seeding, transplanting you can teach people to do, especially if it's under your direction and you're there with them, you can have them do that kind of stuff. Direct seeding, that's usually one of the last tasks that I get a person to do, especially without my supervision. So if I'm there in the field and I'm running the Jang seeder and doing planting, it's easy to say, hey, want to try this out? Run a row here, run a row there, so on and so forth. That's an easy thing to get somebody to do. But to basically just give a person a list and say, go and plant these crops at this plot and so on and so forth, that's a little more complicated. And so that's probably one of the last things that I would teach a person. But you know, certainly before that last one, plant like direct seeding and weekly planting and stuff like that, nursery work is an easy thing to train somebody to do. You know, I'd probably put that lower on the hierarchy with the packing and post-harvest stuff. You could certainly have somebody do nursery management, whether it's potting things up, filling trays to be seeded, even seeding flats, watering in the greenhouse, though there is a lot of nuances to watering in a greenhouse, as many of you know if you are farmers. But stuff like that, the basic idea here is start with the really basic stuff that you can get a person doing. You can train them in an hour or less, and then they can free you from having to manage them. That's important, because when you take on an employee or a contractor, however you have that arrangement structured, the value they're providing is so that you can step away and focus your attention on higher value tasks, right? That's what it's all about. So you want to go for the lowest barrier to entry, the lowest hanging fruit kind of stuff, get them going on that so that it can buy you some independence to do the other things like calling customers and doing, bookkeeping and office work and stuff like that. That's stuff you can't just pass off really easily. So you want to start with the basics, get them going with that. As they have small successes, bring them up higher and higher on the hierarchy of tasks. And one thing I will say that I try to do often, or that I try to do every day, is positive reinforcement. Really, I approach employees or people that work for me, I put them on a very high pedestal, and I expect the best from them, and I'm constantly trying to just encourage them and be positive and tell them they're doing a good job. And if they're not doing something right, first reinforce that with saying something good about what they're doing, and say, but then you could do this a little bit better, and this is the way to do it. It's really all just about being positive for them so they feel confident and feel valued. And I think that's really important to point out. Talk to you later.